best entertainment on the earth. Tune in for Comics with Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. I've gotten this note before in a couple different formats. It's come in a couple different styles, and so I'm not sure how to answer it half the time. Just bluntly, I don't know exactly what people are looking for, and a smart thing to do would be just to ignore it and walk away. But I'm not smart, and we all know that. And so let's wade into it. So the mail goes, "Hey Perch, love your show, but." One thing that really annoys me about you is that you will bend over backwards to defend comic pros who wouldn't piss on you to set you on fire. I think they mean to put out a fire. It says piss on you to set a fire. There are definitely some pros who would piss on me to start a fire. Unfortunately, I'm not a golden shower kind of guy. It's crazy, I know, but that does not appeal to me. They more than you wanted to know. Anyway, sorry, back to the note. I don't understand why you work so hard to give the pros the benefit of the doubt when really many of them hate you. Please explain. Okay, well, you said please, so, you said please, so I got to answer now. So what's interesting is that if you talk to some of the pros, I think at this point, given that I crapped on Eric Larson a little bit, and then some jerks went in there and tagged Eric Larson. He's like, "Yeah, Eric Larson, you're a dick." That's what Perch says. Like, why you do that? Anyway, look, mini pros. I'm not too close to the other car. Jesus, my alarm to let me know that we're too close to cars or curbs or whatever the hell it is. Sometimes it just goes off. I think it's trying to just see if I'm paying attention. But anyway, there's nothing around me. Anyway, many pros will tell you I bend over backwards to protect the fans. Many people who are, just everybody has their own perspective, and as I've typically found, most people believe you're being hardest on their perspective and you're letting the other side off easy. That's what I've experienced. I've had calls, I've had notes. There are a couple comic pros who won't go on my show because they believe I take it too easy on the other side. I've had people say, if you mention Zach at all, just by name, in any context whatsoever, then there's just no way. People can't do it. They would never be interviewed because they just can't do it. And it's a silly perspective. I mean, it's completely silly. I think it's valuable to talk about things as openly and upfront as possible, and I'll give you my perspective on it. I'm not looking for everybody to have my perspective. I don't expect everybody to share it, and I'm going to treat people fairly as best I can, regardless of who or what they are aligned with. I understand this may be annoying, especially now, because just speaking very personal for a minute. It saddens me that I'm raising two daughters in a world where hearing dissenting opinions or hearing a kind of an alternative viewpoint is considered weak and or dangerous. Not just you shouldn't do it. Not just, hey, take it with a grain of salt, but don't listen. My older daughter is in middle school, and just being quite frank with you, one of the appeals to move into Texas, because Texas is not my dream destination. But one of the appeals to doing it was her schools were starting to teach her things that were pretty nuts. I edited out some things in the video I did with her where we reviewed that Lois Lane "I Am Curious Black" comment, but because she goes down this path of talk about school where she's very frustrated because the school is basically telling her don't think. The other side, it's not just that information is bad; that information is dangerous. And the frequent one that we would hear in the Pacific Northwest as a family, and even again to my daughter, they'd say, "Don't watch Fox News." Why do you not watch Fox News? Because the information is so harmful and so dangerous. It will infect you, and you won't be able to think logically anymore. You won't be able to process it. Well, I don't believe everything that comes on Fox News by a mile. Fox News has had a pretty, long track record of you know, being more exploitive is the wrong word, but more sensational with their news coverage. It's been true since Bill O'Reilly was on many years ago. That's been their style, and it's a style that's been very successful right now. Fox News is killing CNN and MSNBC in the news ratings, and the reason they're doing it is pretty obvious if you ever watch it. It's more flashy, it's more engaging. They know how to work an audience. That's their secret. And I am the guy who would really long for a news station that is the most boring, dry. Just here is the news. There is like I long for, in some ways, the old NPR. And even there, it was left leaning in some areas. You could tell, but it was like there was no emotion. That's what I'm looking for in news. And I realize that's boring, and I realize it's not what a lot of you want. But the advice of don't listen to it at all because it's too dangerous is crazy. I want my children to be able to critically identify bullshit when they hear it and be able to move around it. I don't want them to run and hide because my view is, as a parent, I'm not going to be able to shield them from all the crap out there. And if I don't ever teach them to find the crap for themselves, then they're going to get suckered. If you don't hear anything, you'll believe anything. That's my perspective. And again, that's my parenting choice. Is it the right one? I don't know. We'll find out, right? I also don't let my kids eat at Arby's. That is definitely the right parenting choice. Anyway, so when it comes to comic voices, comic prose, I mean, first of all, this is meant to be fun. And I think that's exhaustion. If you talk to people who are like, when I've talked to people at a con, there's been several artists, several writers who, are more than anything kind of exhausted by this entire process. Because comics, I mean, for them is a livelihood, but for even the people who choose to work in comics, it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be, a good distraction from the miserable aspects of our life. It's meant to be something that lifts us up. Not just inspires us, as heroes hopefully do, but actually, gives us a nice diversion from regular life. It's meant to be entertainment. If it's not entertainment, we're doing it wrong. That's my perspective. So so when I talk about giving people the benefit of the doubt, I don't think it's giving people the benefit of the doubt. I think it's also being a little realistic. Look, I checked about a month ago. I counted up the amount of creators that were in the solicitations on any given month. And, the solicitations had somewhere between 700 and 800 comic creators. If you're taking the writer, the artist, pencil or inker, and the colorist. And it's much higher than that. I gave up counting because it felt like a stupid exercise after a while. And that's what exists in comics. And if you right now, okay, think for a moment. If you want, grab a piece of paper. And how many comic creators do you believe are, irritable jackasses on Twitter? People who, like you said, would not pee on me to set out. You know what? I'd rather burn, by the way. If I'm ever on fire, no, don't. If you can't find a good thing of water or soda or, something like that, don't pee on me. Let me burn. I'm okay. I'd rather just I'll call it a day. It's been a good life. Let me burn. Anyway, the amount of creators who are so vindictive, so mean, so nasty, that just kind of always are out for fighting on social media or wherever. If you were to write down those people in a list, all right, you're going to get off to a great start right away. You're like, oh, there's Dan Slott. He's a real dick. And then Tom King's a dick. And Vita is a dick. And, if you just start writing out this list, my guess is you will start to tap out pretty quickly. You may think that's a huge amount of names, but I'm willing to bet that it's not even a tenth of the creators that made comics. I'll bet you'll struggle to get 5% of the people who are actually putting out material. So why does that matter? Because it means that there's 95% of the people out there who are just trying to get through life, do what they've got to do. They're not involved in going to war with anybody. Does it mean they're secretly behind the scenes doing stuff? I don't know. But if the goal, and a lot of people have said the goal is to have people be more professional on, say, Twitter, well, the reality is most people are, the vast majority of them. Now, you may still say, well, the management of those companies suck and they're rude and they're trying to do bad things. You're right. I'm not going to argue the point. Sure. At the end of the day, you spend your money where you feel good about it at the end. But that doesn't mean that you have to go to war with all these unknown people. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're up to. And maybe they're good people, maybe they're bad people. Who knows? But saying I have no information, so I'll go ahead and assume the worst feels dodgy to me, or just rather, it feels like a waste of time. Again, you could say, well, the proof is in the actions, and I mean, we can say lots of different things, but I don't know. It just again, it feels like a waste to go to war constantly with people, particularly people who aren't really saying anything, not giving us any information one way or another. That just feels like I don't know. Just again, that feels like a waste of time. It feels like we're creating busy work for ourselves. And so, again, if you listen to this show and you hear me say something like, okay, I'm going to look at something that, when I did the sales analysis for Spider-Man under Dan Slott, I had a decent amount of people come and say, why are you defending Dan Slott? And the answer is, I'm not defending Dan Slott at all. These are the sales for his comic, the hard black and white sales. They're good because he sold a lot of Amazing Spider-Man. If you'd like, we could do the sales analysis for Fantastic Four. It's not as good. But his Spider-Man sales were strong. If you're going to take that as being a simp for the industry, then you're in that same world that my kids' teachers were in, where they're like, we don't want you to look at facts or knowledge or even anything that might trick you in some way because it's too dangerous. So look away. That's lunacy. I think that's drawing the bar to a crazy place, quite frankly, and I think it's only going to bite us or bite you if you do it. I will. Part of what I do is I take a topic and I try and give you the best answer that I have. Sometimes that answer is satisfying. Sometimes that answer is dumb. I absolutely sometimes that answer is dumb. I'm doing the best I can here with what I've got to work with. In this case, my shoddy brain. But no part of this is, just to be clear, is to defend or attack the industry. This is my perspective. That's it. If you feel like, and by the way, I've lost my patience. I just will be open with you. If you're going to post comments like, so what Perch is saying is like, don't put words in my mouth. Screw it. I'm out. If that's all you bring to the table, then I'm just going to block you out. Just saying it. Don't come in here and try and reinvent what I'm saying to make it. Just you're being a jackass. I leave these boards completely alone. I think the people who regularly come in and try and recreate what actually was said. So you're being a dick. You don't belong. That fine. At that point, you're the kind of person that makes me very unhappy to do this in the first place. And maybe that's your goal, is to ultimately drive me off. But I'm going to drive some of you off first before I take that step. Because I think a lot more people are just happy the channel exists. I don't know. Maybe you're wrong about that. Anyway, that's my answer. I think if you're setting out to have a battle of defending or attacking any single person, it's just, I think you've lost. I think you've started the battle having lost. It's never smart to shield information. As I told my kids, like, there's definitely some stuff on Fox News that is absolute BS. They're doing it for ratings. It's good if you can see that stuff, identify it as such, as BS for ratings, and use that to not be fooled in your adult life. I'd rather give you those. I'd rather have you have those skills. But it's up to you. Anyway, hope that hope that answers your question. I don't know. Thanks for listening.